Hello, Agent. Welcome to The Resistance, a 5 to 10 player social deduction game. We are attempting to overthrow an evil tyrannical establishment for ages. Only now are we within striking distance of our grand plans to establish a new world order. An order of freedom, and board games, and pineapples on pizza. Do not listen to the broadcast radio and media spewed by them, because they have installed spies within our ranks. It's up to you and your fellow resistance member to root them out, and succeed in 3 different missions to bring peace and serenity to our new order. That is, unless you are the spy we're looking for. Regardless, we have a few questions before your induction into the Resistance. Is this a fun game? Is this worth your money? And who would have fun with this game? And as a side note, this is the old school version of the game, but the rules didn't change as far as our information network can tell. Based on our research, the newer version is lacking the Plot Thickens expansion, whereas the older version includes only the critical portions of the Plot Thickens expansion. This review will cover both the base game and the critical portions of the Plot Thickens expansion. Agent, this video will now continue to rules in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the beginning, everyone is assigned a hidden role card. This will determine which team you're on, either a resistance member or a spy. It's recommended not to talk about anything with your card, even the artwork, because they are in fact unique. An experienced veteran may discern your role based on artwork alone. Like, look at this guy. Ignore the fact that he's the only one with a goatee. He looks like a James Bond villain. The amount of spies and resistance member is determined by this section of the board. Then there are 2 options to introduce the spies. One is to have everyone close their eyes, do a countdown, then have only the spies open their eyes. They acknowledge each other and then close their eyes. Then another countdown happens and everyone else opens their eyes after a few seconds. Then the game moves on to the next phase. This way the spies know each other, but the resistance members do not, thus keeping their roles secret. The other way is to simply ignore the previous part and have all the spies try to figure it out on their own as the game progresses. Either way leads to tons of fun. One person is then randomly selected to be leader. For the resistance members to win the game, they must succeed in 3 missions, represented by these tokens. For the spies' counterpart, they must force 3 missions to fail, represented by these tokens. Each mission has a number of required team members to be sent, indicated by this section of the placard. This number does change depending on the number of players, so keep that in mind. The leader must handpick and assign these team members by using these cards. Afterwards, all players must vote if this is a good team to send or not. They then accept or decline the suggested team with these cards. Everyone picks their choice face down and then reveals it publicly to all other players at the same time. If the majority says decline or if there's a tie, then the team's suggestion fails and your leadership card is passed counterclockwise. A new team must be suggested and the process repeats. Special note here, leadership is a fragile and tricky business. If a team cannot be formed within 5 suggestions, then the resistance devolves into a mess of chaos and usurpers, and the spies instantly win the game. However, if the majority agrees with the team selection, then the game moves on to the next phase. All the selected team members get these cards, a mission success and a mission fail card. The resistance member is allowed to only pick the mission success card. The spy, on the other hand, has the option of picking either cards. They must make the selection in secret, probably under a table or something. Then the leader collects all the chosen cards, shuffles them, and reveals the choices. And again, I repeat, the resistance member is only allowed to select the mission success card, unless you really want to break the rules and troll your friends. If all the cards are mission success cards, then the resistance move one step closer to liberating Flavatown for pizzas and winning the game. If there is even one mission fail card, then obviously the mission fails and the spies move one step closer to purging the heretics of true pizza and winning the game. Then a new mission begins. The cycle repeats itself until either the resistance or the spies win. And that's pretty much it for the base game. Now we move on to the expansion. Because the plot is thickening, alliances are formed, and trust will be strained. In the Plot Thickens expansion, there are plot cards. These plot cards can do a wide variety of things, from usurping the leadership position, to revealing your role to another player instantly, to immediately failing a team suggestion. The amount of plot cards and the type of plot cards depend on the number of players for balance purposes. Why? Because these plot cards are like super weapons. They're really strong and they reveal a lot of information. To use these plot cards, the current leader draws a certain amount of them, depending on the number of players. The leader is aware of the type of plot cards drawn and gives them secretly to other players. The leader cannot give the plot card to themselves. Then, depending on the symbol of the plot card, it can either take effect immediately or is held until an opportunity arises. If the card has a star, then the effect takes place immediately and the plot card is discarded afterwards. If the card has a 1, then it's held until it's used. Think of it as a one-time use item. If the card has a square on the other hand, it's a permanent passive effect and must be revealed immediately upon receiving it. From now on, this effect takes place. Now, I don't have the rest of the Plot Thickens expansion, but from my research, there are 2 other components to it. There is the Sergeant component and a Rogue Agent component. The Sergeant component is basically an assigned role that allows a player to force another player to switch their mission success and fail cards. The Rogue Agent component is basically a lone wolf third-party type of player, and has to play the Rogue Agent card 3 times instead of the mission success or mission fail card to win the game. So, with the rules explained, what's my opinion of the game? Well, first, this game is really like a spy kit. It's super compact and can be secretly taken anywhere. Backpack, pouch, secret briefcase. It's all portable and you could even fit an exploding pen in it if you really want to. So, if you have a limited amount of space, then this game would be a perfect addition to your collection. Second, the people who would have fun with this game are pretty varied. If you're on a time crunch, then this game would fit into most people's schedule. Games go pretty quick at times, from about 10 minutes to 30 minutes. It honestly depends on how heated discussions and arguments get. People who also enjoy social deduction games like Mafia and Werewolf will feel right at home with this Resistance. It's definitely a top tier super sleuthing game, and people who embrace chaos with all of its discord and anarchy will appreciate the destruction this game will cause. Most importantly, this game rewards deception and backstabbing. Those who can deploy deceit, red herrings, and misdirections will truly love this game. That being said, those who would not have fun with this game are those who do not enjoy social cue games or backstabbing. Those 2 elements are a huge part of the Resistance. In addition, this game does require at minimum 5 people, so if you can't reach that threshold consistently, then you may want to go ahead and rethink this game. Quality wise, the components are pretty solid. The cards are matted and fairly thick. They can definitely take a beating. Art is outstanding and it's mostly muted colors, but in a good way. The art on the box and on the reference board definitely feels like some kind of misguided utopia. Even though the game says everyone is living in a dystopia, the art feels lighter, more airy, but not quite cyberpunkish. Simple red and blue colors depict who is a spy and who is a resistance pretty easily. There's no confusion whatsoever. And with the later additions and expansions, the art style is kept mostly the same, but they incorporated darker tones to try and emphasize that dystopian feel. The reference board is pretty small, and it's probably my biggest complaint. It's a bit hard to see all the information on it, especially if you have a large number of players. but I do understand that they had to make it this small to fit into the box. If you play with a lot of players, then expect the spies to win a majority of the game. It's very easy for the spies to ruin the resistance plan, which is totally fine. The theme of the game is to overthrow a tyrannical establishment, and that ain't easy. However, if you decide to include the Plot Thickens expansion, then the plot cards are really powerful and can definitely tip the game towards the resistance favor, depending on how skilled the leader used them. Remember, the leader knows what they are handing out. They can watch with intent and see how certain people react. It's a welcome addition that definitely changes the gameplay by reducing chaos and social deduction, but it increases tactics and social negotiations. Of course, I haven't played with the other parts of the Plot Thickens, but I can imagine it adds a different depth to the game that can actually increase chaos. Adjust these different modules to your taste, of course, but with the plot cards, it's outstanding for a different paced game. Overall, I really enjoy the Resistance and its expansion, the Plot Thickens. It's a great top tier social deduction game. Every single player always has something to do. They always have an option, even if they are the spy and are ousted. How? Negotiations for stuff outside the game. Things like, remember when you told me never to talk about that road trip? Or, let's make a deal. The game is easy to learn, easy to grasp, difficult to master, and super easy to integrate into groups. It's also a solid icebreaker game too, as long as someone is willing to ask questions to the new person. I do recognize that at times a new person may get ignored because the group has a plan to unveil information and completely forget about that new person. Small things like accusing them of being the spy and including them in the shenanigans, even if you know they aren't the spy, really makes their day. So yeah, it's an awesome game, but how's the pricing? And this is not the fun part. Pricing for the base game alone is between 10 to 20 US dollars. It varies a lot depending on where you buy it. I really like this game, but I cannot see it being worth $20 for just the base game. If you have the spare cash, I'd say $15 is decent, not the best. But if you find it on sale for anything below that, it's a solid deal. Now for the expansion, it's a bit skewed for me since I got the important parts of the Plot Thickens included with mine. But I found it for around 8 to 12 US dollars depending on where you look. It's not a standalone expansion and it requires the base game. But for about $8, I'd say it's definitely worth it if you really enjoyed the Resistance. If you're lukewarm to the game after playing it, then you might want to skip it. Now that you've been debriefed with the Resistance, we can confidently let you know that the spies will win most of the times and destroy our plans. But the Resistance never dies. The true purpose of the Resistance isn't to win or lose. It's not even about the pizza. It's to have fun watching your buddy ferociously defend themselves over inane remarks and dogmatic accusations. So, let me ask you this. Are you ready to join the Resistance? If you enjoyed this review, leave a like. Comment below to help out this video. If this review helped you out, then subscribe for more board game stuff and other random stuff. Mostly travel things, sometimes other things, no idea yet. And stay optimistic. We should rename the Resistance to the Rebel Allies and put a trademark on it.